Back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And today we've got a legend. Suzi Quatro is back with a brand new album and single. No Soul, No Control is, well, typically brilliant. It's unique. It's identifiable within about 3 seconds. It's Suzi Quatro who joins us on the phone now. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm a little bit worried that you say I'm identifiable in 3 seconds. Am I that easy?
No, I tell you what it is about you. You've got a class and you've got a distinction that so few have. You stick to what you know and you do it magnificently. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you so much. I take that as a big compliment. Thank you.
Do you know, in a world where everybody's looking for the latest headline and will do anything and say yes to everything, you've never really done that, have you? You've stuck to what you do best, which is you doing rock and roll.
Well, the whole album, the whole reason for the album, the whole title, No Control, I have a mantra my whole life, and the only thing that we've got in this world is ourselves. Mm. And you're born that way, you'll die that way. So if you give part of yourself away and compromise them because somebody else, then you're finished. Mm. This is what I'm all about. So what you just said was right. I've stuck to me my whole life. Whatever it might be, that's who I am.
And your audience love you for it. You're about to start a world tour, Australia, Germany, Europe, and you're coming to the UK as well. Is it still thrilling that people care? Because it's so easy to be forgotten in this business, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, I'm just humbled every day by the fact that I've been going for 55 years and still going strong. I like to think that the reason that the people have stuck with me is because I am real. Mm. I'm not manufactured. What you see is what you get. You have a choice to like me or not like me, but if you do like me, I am what I am.
I like you very much, but there's one thing I'm confused about. I think my favourite song might be Stumbling In, which was a big hit you had with Chris Norman, but it was never a hit over here, was it? It's one of your best songs you've ever done.
Oh, my God, I'll tell you the story now. I'm sorry, I have to tell the story. So we did this song together after doing an award ceremony. We were jamming. I dragged Chris up to the stage. It was a VIP party. And Mike Chapman happened to be sitting there because me and my band were recording an album in Germany. It was a German award ceremony. Anyway, Mike looked at it and he went, "Ooh, I like that. That looks good." He went away that night before the next session, the next day for us, for my If You Knew Suzi album. And he had started Stumbling In to do with me and Chris. Chris didn't want to make Smokey angry, and Smokey didn't want to play on it. So my band did the track. And Chris and I did the vocal. And Chris said, "I don't want to, upset the band, so I will do a video, but no televisions." Okay? So we did a video. Then it got into the lower end of the charts in the UK, and Top of the Pops called and said, "Will you do Top of the Pops?" And Chris said no.
Wow.
And everybody called him, Mickey Most, myself, my ex-husband, and he wouldn't do it. So the UK has the wonderful distinction of being the only country in the entire world that this record was not a million seller in.
Isn't it incredible?
Million seller, it's crazy, all because he didn't want to make the band mad, and then he left the band and went solo anyway. So, you know what? When you look back on your life and you say, "Whoops," that's a big whoops moment for you. But I mean, saying that, everybody still knows the song, even though it didn't go in the charts big here because of that. Because when you say no to Top of the Pops, you said no to a hit.
And isn't it interesting that's no longer on the air? Back then, it was the thing that could make you or break you. Now it's irrelevant. The business is unrecognisable, but you've managed to survive. Was there a period where even you were confused? Because it's changed so much, hasn't it, the record industry in the last 10, 15 years?
Yeah, it has. It has. And you have to roll with the punches. There's streaming and there's downloads. But that's all okay. But what I've always done, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, is no matter what, I just I stick to me. That's all I can do is be who I am. I don't want to compromise. I make my music my way. I sing my way. I play my way. Nobody tells me what to do. As the album title says, no control. No control. I'm in control of my life.
If we go back to the 70s, I want to talk about you being an innovator and you being completely unique and fighting a path for other women. Does this stuff embarrass you? Are you happy talking about this, or would you rather just stick at 2019?
I am absolutely fine with talking about it, but I'm honest about it. When I first started having my success in 1973, as history knows, is a fact, there wasn't anybody else that I could look to, any other female, and go, oh, I'd like to be like her, because it didn't exist. So, as we all know, I had to kind of make it up as I went along. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I didn't do it because I thought, hey, I'm doing something different. All I was doing was being me. I didn't know it was going to change the world, but it did. So now that I look back in hindsight at the grand old age of 68, 55 years in the business, I always say, thank goodness I was able to break that door down, and I did break the door down. But I broke the door down by not being gender conscious. I never called myself ever a female musician.
Right.
I just said, I'm a musician.
Yeah.
And this is what it took for that door to come crashing down. It took somebody like me who wasn't gender conscious, wasn't doing it to, hey, I could do what the guys do. And if you remember, even when you first saw me, I didn't look like I was doing that at all. And all the other musicians I know for many years, big ones, have said, no, you weren't showing off and being, I can show you what I can do. No, that wasn't you at all. I was just kind of being natural. And in that way, it broke the mold, which is great. And every female has come up to me and thanked me. Every single female I can think of.
Well, it's interesting because when I spoke to Joan Rivers, she had much the same tale in comedy. And when I think of Ellen DeGeneres on TV and Oprah Winfrey, all doing your own thing, you're all sincere and you're all just doing what you do. Is that the key then, that we shouldn't be banging drums for other people? We should bang our own drum?
That, when I first started having success, they came to me with, at that time, women's lib questions. That was all I got, And I said the same thing back then. I'm not women's lib. I'm not joining a group to say I'm special. I'm just being me. So I'm a me lib. I am me.
Yes.
When I got my doctor's degree in 2016 at Cambridge University, and I'm an honorary doctor of music, cap and gown, Cambridge, incredible. I stood up there to make my speech, and I didn't know I was going to cry, but I did, of course, because it was a humbling moment. I looked at all those people out there with the caps and gowns of professors and doctors, and I went, oh, my God, I didn't even graduate high school. And I found myself speaking, and you can do it on YouTube, and I said that there's a light in everybody, a little light, and our job in life is to find that little light, switch it on, and let nobody switch it off. And I meant that, and at that point I cried. Because that's actually what I'm all about. Whatever your light is, you don't have to be anybody you don't want to be. All you have to be is the best you that you can be.
I have to ask you the question amidst Me Too and all that nonsense. How many guys did you come across who said you couldn't do what you do brilliantly because you are not a man? Was that a regular occurrence, or was that nothing that you had to deal with?
Well, again, my attitude saved me. I've always been kind of a tomboy. But I've also had a huge dividing line between what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do to me, and if you step over that line, you're going to know all about it. Yeah. No, I can't say that was the case with me.
I wonder whether that's down to your personality too, the fact that you're so confident.
I think because I, in myself, was serious about what I did and confident, and I was like, I am a musician, and that's what I put out there. That's the vibe you got. So if somebody's hitting you with that vibe, you're then not going to treat them differently, are you? You get treated how you put out.
And it's interesting you never sexualize yourself. You never sold yourself on a pair of breasts or anything like that. You were a musician.
I didn't have a pair. Had a nice backside, there you go. That was that. I always tried to back into a room if I could. But no, I didn't depend on looks. I had nonstop arguments with television shows, put on some makeup. No, I don't want to. I sort of had this thing about, and I still do now, although I'm 60, I put a little bit on sometimes, but I just want to be, if somebody tells me I look nice, I want to look nice as me.
Right.
I don't want to wear a mask. That's how I am in my life. Like me as I am, without any facade. Here is me. Yeah. Like it or don't like it.
And let's face it, somebody at the top of their game, playing the guitar as well as you do, the bass, singing as well as you do, there's nothing hotter than that. And that's, I think, your everlasting appeal, isn't it? That you are just a perfect musician. I'm going to ask you a question now, Suzi, that's going to offend you. Am I okay to go ahead? Because I don't want to do that.
Please do.
Are
At
you
your
a
own peril. Okay, yeah, go on.
Are you a better singer or a better bass player?
Oh, that's a good question. Right. Okay, I'll say it this way.
Okay.
And I can only go by what I've had maybe 35, 40 different musicians in my band through the years. Okay. They all say the same thing to me. They all say, whatever you play on the bass is always correct. I take that as a compliment.
Beautiful.
Okay. Singing-wise, I mean, I might not be Celine Dion, I don't pretend to be, but singing-wise, when I sing a lyric, you will hear it and understand it.
And feel it.
And you'll take and feel it. That's the most important thing. You'll feel it. So whatever I do, it goes to your heart. So what's important? Being Barbra Streisand and Celine Dion, or being Suzi Quatro, that it doesn't matter what I say, you're going to understand it. So which one is better? I say they're both about equal, and they're both equally important. I tend to go slightly more on the voice because I am a communicator and I'm a songwriter. But I like to think they both go hand in hand.
What is the art to delivering a great lyric? I mean, I've seen Frank Sinatra interviewed about this. He was probably one of the greatest deliverers of a line and a story.
The best.
Is it believing in it? Is that the key?
Yes. I've said it all my life. You know, I'm a very, very, very good ballad singer. And although I haven't made my career doing ballads, when I do them, people cry. So the whole point is when you sing a song, you hear that you get the lyrics. First of all, don't sing a song you can't believe. That's number one. If you can't get into what that song is saying, you have no business singing it because you're doing the writer a disservice. When I do my own songs, of course, I don't write fiction, so I believe everything I say. But you must go into the song and believe the words. And like I do Desperado in my show at the end of the show, and it's been one of my favorite songs since it came out.
Stunning.
And I make people cry. Just because I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe what I'm saying. And there's some moments on this new album, you know, they're real tearjerkers, some of them. There are some great rockers, and there's some real heartfelt moments.
When you stand on a stage now, is it still as exciting and magical as it was 30 years ago?
It's more now because I have now come around the block and back again, which is actually what this album is all about. Come around the block back again, and everything is Suzi, but what you get is all the things I've gathered on my travels around the world. So you get the maturity of where I am now, but still with that same attitude, because your attitude never dies, and it shouldn't.
73 was a big year for you. I mean, you had your eponymous debut album, and that's always going to be thrilling. Look at the hits from it. Was that the most special year? If you could go back to live one moment from a year, when was it? Around the 73, 74, or after?
Oh, God, it's hard to say, because I've had so many highlights in my life. You know, I mean, right now, this new album is a highlight. I mean, I can't believe I've made this new album, and it's just getting the reaction it's getting is just so pleasing. I guess what as an artist you always remember will be your first number one. I mean, that sticks out like a milestone, you know, that you've done your 9-year apprenticeship and then you've got a number one in the charts and you're selling millions of records. That is pretty amazing. But I have had a series of firsts in my career, and I'm still ongoing. So I love what I do. I'm an artiste.
It's interesting that I've got family who live in St. Clair Shores in Michigan.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, can't be a million miles from where you grew up. I wonder why you weren't more influenced by Motown and you were more influenced by rock and roll. Was that a deliberate choice? Because it's easy if you're from there to get swept up in that sort of sound, isn't it? You chose not to do that.
Well, to be honest, I am a huge, huge, huge fanatical Motown fan.
Yeah, me too.
I can still do all the Temptations dance routines.
Can you?
Step by step. You'd love to see that. Give me a glass of wine and I'll do it. But saying that, I am very influenced by Motown. In fact, my bass style is very much Jameson. And in fact, on the new album, if you listen to the BV parts, the backing vocalist parts, I'm very influenced by Motown backing vocals. And I wrote all the backing vocals. And if you now, next time you hear the album, listen, and you will hear my Motown influence when you hear that stuff. So I was influenced by that big time. But the energy and the attitude of Detroit is something that you can't manufacture, and that will be with me forever. And that's in your DNA. You're born with it.
And those harmonies are meticulous. I wonder how hard it is to write those, because they don't come easy, do they?
No, in fact, I've been told by many producers and many musicians that my my back and vocal talent is phenomenal. And that's because I grew up in Detroit. And when I used to listen to the 60s Motown, I would sing along with the backing vocalist and not the lead singer.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that whole relationship.
Yeah, when you hear the Ronettes and all of that stuff, I mean, that's incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I like the counter melodies. I'm a bit Mozart that way.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And the rock and roll side of it, of course, comes after the genius of the writing. If you had to do one thing, I mean, is the stage the most important, or is it sat trying to come up with the genius to stand on a stage?
Oh, it's so hard to pick, but I mean, you know, what do you say? So what couldn't I do without? I mean, I am an entertainer in my heart and soul.
Yeah.
I knew that from a very young age, and I guess my joy, I mean, a lot of the business is, you know, not pleasant, you know, lots of stuff you have to do, but if I couldn't go on the stage and make people smile, I don't know if I'd be very happy.
This sound is anthemic. It's exactly what we're looking for. No Soul, No Control is the new album and single by Suzi Quatro, and you can get it for download now. It's released on the 15th of February. I wonder, repeating your success is always difficult. I say anybody can have a number one, but they can't necessarily get a second number one. What pressure are you under? Do you worry about that, or do you just let happen what happens?
I don't worry about any of it. As long as the way I feel, as long as I am staying true to myself, making music I believe in, going out, entertaining people, and happy, that's all I care about. And
if you can't give me love, that's got to be your best song, hasn't it?
It's a real good vocal, that, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
It is. It's one of my better vocals. It's one of those songs, again, that I felt in my heart, and I sang it that way.
You're so gifted. Is it cool being you because you've never gone out of fashion? Pop music is tricky because you're popular by definition for a period and then you're gone. You don't really struggle with that. It must be great to be you.
Well, I like to think I'm still around because I'm real. I've always said it. I'm, you know, if your image is manufactured, if you feel gimmicky or whatever, you're not going to last the course. But I think everybody has always felt about me that what you see is what you get. Here I am. Take it, don't take it, but I'm me, and like me or don't like me.
You're going to be touring around the world. You're in Australia for a big tour. Then you're going to come to the UK. April
the 4th to the 14th. It's my second headlining UK arena tour, so I hope I can see everybody there.
Just incredible. Manchester, you'll be there on the 4th of the 4th, the 5th in Leeds, Cardiff, Brighton, Newcastle, Nottingham, where I'm from. I'm going to see you there. London, Birmingham, Liverpool and Bournemouth. Then you go to Europe. We can't wait to see you. Congratulations on this.
Thank you so much.
Mrs. Authenticity, I'm going to call you, because you stick to what you do, and what you do is magnificent. Congratulations on everything. What a life and career. Suzi Quatro, what an honour. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Bye.